one station making history every day.
My sweet home, Chicago.
Now, Don, Wade, and Roma.
89
8:07 with Don, Wade, and Roma. Good morning. I was struck by a column published recently in the Sun-Times. It was written by Star Parker. Star Parker is president of the Center for Urban Renewal and Education. And she says that Representative Paul Ryan, chairman of the House Budget Committee, provoked angry pushback when he claimed not only is his proposed revamp of the U.S. budget fiscally sound, but morally sound. And she goes on to say that Ryan said he drew inspiration from his Catholic faith. Priority for caring for the poor should focus on helping folks move out of poverty. And Ryan deserves credit for casting his proposed reforms in moral as well as economic terms. Star Parker, good morning.
Well, good morning, Don. It's good to be with you in Roma.
We're delighted to have you, Star.
I know you get a lot of people who disagree with you, but could you explain why you said that this was morally sound to have these reforms?
Well, the people that attempt to disagree with me try to argue that there is a separation between morality and the economy, and that we should view these two areas of our lives in separate universes. But we know they're not true. I mean, our morality touches our economy. And what Ryan points out, in my opinion, is that clarity. To say that we can fix our nation, whether it's our entitlement programs, whether we can reduce the size and scope of government, whether we can bring things more locally, depend on family and community, without assessing how we're broken, our major institutions are broken because our morality has failed, is deception. We are deceiving ourselves to think that we can recover economically if we don't look at the moral aspect of our lives.
And the moral aspect you're talking about maybe is the cause of the problems.
Well, it's part of the cause. I mean, we think about family life. We've broken down. You know, it's underappreciated how broken we are. When you think about out-of-wedlock birth rates, for instance, being at 40%. Now, 4 out of 10 children in this country being born outside of marriage. In the black community, it's 72%. In the Latino community, it's 48%. In the white community, it's just under 30%. Well, when you have single-headed households and are people not marrying in the numbers that we used to as a society, you have more dependency on government. This is very clear when you look at what has happened in black communities. You know, it's underappreciated that in the 60s, when most of this social engineering started, 70% of black children were raised in married households. Today, it's exactly the opposite ever since the war on poverty was declared. So when we try to separate out how we depend on each other in the public square, our taxes, what we're going to spend them for, and we try to separate that from what has happened on family and where people become dependent, we're not going to get down to the fundamentals of what has created the problem. So, of course, then you can't fix it.
How do we wean ourselves from dependency? I mean, within Obama's tenure, more and more people are dependent on the government than they ever have been before.
Well, the first thing you have to do is admit you have a problem. I mean, when I left welfare, I had to admit I had a problem. I lived the lie of the left, and 7 years wandering in and out of government dependencies, 3.5 years consistently living on welfare, and until a Christian conversion, I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, wait a minute, what is the problem? And once you determine that, we have other things that we should be addressing in our society, and individually, we won't be able to get to any type of solution. So, first we have to say, what has happened to us as a community of people, as American society? How did we move from the dependency on our lives, our families, our churches, and other institutions in our society that keep us personally responsible to where we now are more dependent on government? You're absolutely right, Roma. When you think about 70% of all government tax intake outside of defense is a transfer to an individual, this is a problem. We can't go on like this where half the country makes and half the country takes, where almost half the country doesn't have any skin in the game when it comes to paying into the federal coffers. We have to admit there's something broken down more so than, let's just increase taxes on the wealthy.
We see such a problem in the black community in Chicago. The crime rates in this city have been skyrocketing, violent crime, and it's black on black crime. You talk in some of your, again in your literature about the Sunday-Tuesday gap in black America. What's going on there?
Well, one of the things that's going on is that we have a picture, a case study of why liberalism will not work. Going back to the 60s, when family life was intact in black America prior to the social engineering of the left to say, we don't have to do it that way, let's just have these safety nets if you get engaged in sexual activity outside of marriage. And over time, as it broke down family, you start breaking down community. When you talk about black on black crime or any crime in urban communities, when we start assessing, okay, how many of these households are marital households where the young men are losing track of their lives and getting involved in ill activities, the number that are in marital households reduces significantly. What we're seeing in crime and many other areas, whether it's low educational aspirations, whether it's more dependency on government, where it's just reckless living, what we're seeing is these are the children of single-headed households. And it's one of the reasons that the nation should be concerned, because what broke down in black America as a result of the 60s engineering, Barack Obama-type policies, is breaking down in the rest of America because more of mainstream America is getting engaged in this type of reckless living.
Yeah. Well,
unemployment, education, our education system is failing urban dwellers.
They're all connected. I mean, let's face it, at the same time that we were starting to see our morality breakdown in our urban our most vulnerable communities, including black community, we were starting to see more government control over education and over just simple things. The unions became very, very involved in what we were going to do about educating children. And so the focus left from what's best for this child and this particular household and became what's best for the teacher and the structure of the teachers' unions. So, yeah, it touches education as well. It's one of the reasons that I've been fighting for vouchers for years. I believe that money should follow children to the school the parent decides, especially if that parent is single and living in a hard-hit community.
Star Parker, I want to know if someone is interested in more information from the Center for Urban Renewal and Education, your website?
urbancure.org, URBANCURE, urbancure.org, or of course they can Google my name, starparker.com, and come to our website and sign up to get my weekly column. We have to have these discussions, so I appreciate that you'll allow me to talk to your audience about these this morning.
We love it. Thank you.
I think you're a great influence. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Star Parker, columnist and president of CURE, Center for Urban Renewal and Education. It's 8:15.
89 WLS.